Neighborhoods, safety, and information. That's what it's about today. So welcome to Chief Chat. We have with us Police Chief Lee Gavin, Fire Chief Dave Brogan, and with us today is Corporal Mark Parrinello, who's the Crime Prevention Officer. Welcome, gentlemen, to Chief Chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
The safety of our community is always on everyone's mind, and that's really the primary sense of conversation, especially with things that are happening all over our state and our cities. Chief Gavin, talk to us about safety procedures, what we have to look for now that school's coming back too. I mean, people are full swing into school. We have traffic safety issues. We have child safety issues, walking to school, buses. What's going on the first couple of weeks of school? Everything quiet on the front, or do we have some issues we need to?
Everything's pretty quiet. I'll start with school issues. That's the big issue this time of the year. Mm-hmm. You know, parents adjusting to driving their children to school and dropping them off. And in that short 10-minute span, we have a lot of issues around the school. A lot of parking issues. We just had an incident earlier this week down at Bedford School where we had a young child struck by a car, traffic congested. So we asked the parents to drop their kids off, and as soon as they drop their kids off, move on. A lot of parents want to wait and see that their child gets into school safely. You know, the schools take pride in making sure the students are safe there. Sure. So they have teachers and other personnel that are outside the school to make sure the kids get in. So we ask the parents, drop the child off, let them clear the distance of the car, and once they're on the sidewalk, then they move on. Then the next group of vehicles with students can pull up. But we get a lot of congestion where the parents are waiting for their kids to walk up to the school, and that ties up traffic. So that's our big issue, and we have a lot of schools in the city. And all the schools seem to start within the same, half an hour period. So we cannot have our officers at all the schools at the same time. So our police officers and our traffic officers try to get them, assigned to the schools, different parts of the city, so we equal that out. So we have some officers at each school.
I know when my kids many years ago would go to Riverside, there used to be such a congestion right on Warren because the parents are pulling up, and sometimes within that cross section there on Warren and Beach Daily. I mean, has that been addressed at all, or is there still? Because I haven't been there in a long time, but I recall that was one of the major issues at Riverside.
We still have issues there. What we ask the parents to do is if they go into the golf course, Warren Valley Golf Course, just west of Riverside,
I remember.
That takes them off the roadway, takes them off of Warren Avenue, and then the kids can walk to the school from there. That seems to alleviate a lot of the problem. We still have the not circle drive, but they pull in off of Warren and let the kids off, and then that backs up traffic on Warren, and then you have the light there at Warren and Beach, so it becomes a little congested with the kids trying to cross at the light, and then the parents backed up. So we ask the parents if they go a little farther west on Warren, pull into Warren Valley, and then let the kids off there.
What about Crestwood? How's the traffic there? I know that and I don't live too far from there, so
Crestwood, the same issue. With that school, again, we ask the parents. We used to use the Circle Drive in the past to pick up our students. Now we're using the Circle Drive for the buses. The buses are pulling in there.
Oh, okay.
So we ask the parents to pull in. There's a little lot just north of the Circle Drive, and that's where the parents are pulling in. And again, that backs up, so the parents are backing up to Beach Daily. Then we have the issue with them backing up towards Ford Road. They line up in front of the fire station, and then if the fire vehicles have to come out, there's a little bit of issue because nobody wants to move and lose their spot. And then the fire department has a little problem pulling out. But with that big fire truck and with that air horn, eventually people are going to move.
I don't want to be a tattletale, but I know a lot of those, the signs that say no left turn and what have you, but I'm always seeing them, going the opposite direction. And do you have officers the first few weeks of school at least trying to monitor that?
The same thing. The first few weeks we have officers there, and we're trying to advise the people verbally. We're giving them warnings. After a couple weeks, and the people haven't learned their lesson, then we take enforcement action. And then, we have officers assigned there in the morning and then in the afternoon when school gets out, and they do write violations. So we ask our residents, try to obey the signs. It's for your good and the good of the students that are trying to leave. park in just the designated parking lots. The Canfield Center, just north of the school, is accessible, so they can pull in there too.
And also, I know when the kids are crossing the street, crossing Beach Daily, from the other side, the residential area going in, I mean, it gets really, really harried. But hopefully, it usually settles down a few weeks after school, but the very beginning is really harried.
We usually work with the school board there and, the schools, and work with them to get the flow of traffic in and out as best as we can. There's been some issues, and some people brought it to our attention. They'd like a street light put there, a traffic light in front of Crestwood, but that's not feasible. We have the light in front of the fire station and at Beach Daily, and then we have one at Wilson. So in that little half-mile stretch, 4 lights, that's not reasonable.
Usually I'd be an advocate for that, but it doesn't really make sense.
Pertain to that.
We've talked about, and we talked about this on the prior chief chat, and now we have Corporal Mark with us today, who's the crime prevention officer. We talked a little bit about the mapping project within the city and crimemapping.com, and it's been sort of worked on and is up and running, and that is about finding out where crime is happening. So talk to us about the crime mapping, how it came to our city, basically, and what the initiative behind it was.
Sure. Crime mapping, I became aware of it about a year ago and did some research on it, but I was actually contacted by one of our community awareness members, kind of like our Neighborhood Watch program, and they contacted me by email through my email alert system and asked me to look into the crimemapping.com program. And I did, and went to the website and did some searching around. But
what other cities have this? Just to
I know Dearborn's got it. Detroit does have it. Inkster.
Okay.
I don't think Garden City does. Wayne. But if you actually click on it, I'll explain how to do it. Yeah, it'll show you. You can actually look at the whole Tri-County area. Anybody. You can look throughout the United States to see who's on it and see who subscribes to it. So. Yeah, one of the Neighborhood Watch or community awareness members brought it to my attention, and through the research on it, I found out that our software provider that we use to do statistics and report writing in the department, they're actually interfaced with crimemapping.com, so they've already got it set up where they crime mapping takes data from Clemis, which is our software provider, and they map it on a map for us. So visually you can see what's happening in your neighborhoods. I mean, it's a lot better. It kind of drives home the fact a lot more when you can see it visually on a map. I could give you 4 or 5 addresses that are close to each other, but you don't really realize how close they are until you actually see it on a map.
So if I went in and put crimemapping.com, put my address in there, if there was a car that was stolen maybe 3 blocks away, it would tell me that's what happened. Or if there was a theft in one of the homes near my home.
There's different icons for different type crimes that happen in our city. So basically, you'd log on to crimemapping.com onto the website, and you could actually pick out the state of Michigan. There's a drop-down box with Dearborn Heights on it. You click on Dearborn Heights, and it'll show you the Dearborn Heights map. Not exclusively, it'll show you all the surrounding cities too. But you pull up, you can actually zoom in, you can zoom out, you can type in your address and see what's in your vicinity. There's also options to see like a mile radius from your address or a 5-mile radius. You can do it by weekly reports, you can do it by monthly. So there's a lot of different options that you can actually
you said there were different icons. So what kind of crimes, I mean, sexual predators, those kinds of things aren't part of the mapping.
Right. We do home invasions.
Okay.
We do vandalism, larceny crimes, theft. We've got alcohol-related arrests on there, and stolen vehicles.
That sounds. How does that correlate with the work you do in the city?
Yeah. First of all, I want to compliment Mark. Mark's been with us a long time, does a great job. I'm sure a lot of our viewers out there, a lot of people in the community know Mark. He's always reaching out to our community. He has an email that he sends out other than this crime mapping, we'll give Mark's email address, and you get on his list. And if we have some major incidences in the city, some major crimes, or if we're looking for someone, Mark will send out an email every 2, 3, 4 days whenever something comes up, and that's very informational. So I recommend everyone get on Mark's email list. And again, I want to just compliment him for the great service he provides for our residents, and he's been a longtime member of our department, and we value Mark. He's a very valuable asset, so he does a great job for us.
Well,
Thank
you're
you.
in good shape, Mark.
I appreciate it.
Other than me training him many, many years ago.
There you go.
It's one of my first partners.
He didn't learn that stuff from me, but no, Mark does a great job.
That was
reaching
the
out to
prelude.
us. So,
Well, Mark, give us your email address really quick so we have it.
Parrinello, my last name. I'll spell it Parrinello at ci.dearborn-heights.mi.us.
Okay, we'll have that on our
So the
screen as well.
Yeah, the last part of the email address is the same for all city
Everybody.
employees.
all city
And then
employees.
it's the first initial and the last name of the employee. So.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So-
So,
Back to that, that crime mapping helps us. He also keeps statistics, and we give it to the officers every day at roll call. If we have crime trends in the city, areas that...
absolutely, yeah.
So our officers, when they go out on the street every day, they know
what to focus
as a
on.
result of Mark what occurred in certain areas of the city, and they focus on those areas. So it helps us, helps the road officers. He gathers the information and makes sure that we're all well informed. So that's, it's a valuable asset, having all that information.
Absolutely.
Also, Mark he keeps track of our B&Es. He handles our B&Es in the city. So if there's a home broken into or a business, Mark gets assigned those reports. He stays up on those, and he knows if there's a trend, and that's when that email comes in handy. If he knows there's a few houses in a certain area or a few businesses that were targeted, he'll send an email out to the residents. Hey, be aware of this. Maybe these subjects look this way or this or that. So that's very important.
B&E, burglary, entry.
Yeah,
breaking
and
and
entry.
Yes.
It was
A
close.
little bit of gangster lingo there. So a B&E or larcenies, like he described, vehicles stolen, hubcaps stolen. So if we get description of some people and we have a pattern, then Mark will put an email out to try to keep everybody aware.
Wonderful. Now, is this service something that you have to create within the city, or is this just something that you sort of build on that was already in existence, and then we just sort of tailor it to our needs? Or, I mean, where did this concept originate from? Do you know?
Our email list we built from scratch. So we started Neighborhood Watch back up around 1997. Email alert has been around for 7 or 8 years, I think, and started from scratch. I mean, I needed a way to communicate with residents other than newspaper.
Right. No, I mean the actual crimemapping.com. I mean, where did that originate from? Who was like the first city that actually
I'm not
introduced
sure.
this? Do we know at all?
Crime mapping is its own company. So,
Okay.
And
So we
that's
just
exactly
enlisted. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but Clemis, our software provider, they will research things that they think is beneficial for cities that subscribe to their program.
Right.
So I know they had like a cooperation with Leads Online,
Right.
with the pawn shop database. They found that helpful.
Okay.
With all different departments mapping pawn shop
Right.
information. And I think this is kind of the same way. I think that they saw the crimemapping.com. I don't know how the conversation, I don't know if they approached them or, Clemis approached crime mapping, but Clemis did the research and found it was, beneficial for the cities to jump on board, and we found it beneficial also.
A lot of residents, it's a new trend, but residents can go out there, like Mark said, and see these different icons pertaining to different crimes, and it's interesting. You can compare cities. You can move over to Detroit, and you can see all the crime over there. And,
yeah. And it helps you figure out where you need to patrol a little bit
Sure.
more to decrease that kind of
tool.
crime in that area.
Sure.
It's
in the
an
old days, we
amazing
had
tool.
pin maps. We put little
Exactly.
pins on the boards.
Yeah,
Now
welcome to
everything's
technology.
in the computer,
Yeah.
It's
and,
wonderful.
you see where the trends are.
Yep.
Absolutely. We haven't forgotten about you. There's a lot of stuff happening with the fire department. Talk to us about the summer. How did that go in terms of fire, and what was the trend, if there was even a trend? And
yeah, there wasn't one specific cause of it. We had a very busy summer. We had a lot of fires. We had a lot of rescue runs.
Did we?
Yeah, our call volume is up, but it tends to creep up and up every year.
A lot more than last summer?
I'd say, yeah, it was more than last summer. Our call volume is up. And there isn't any one specific cause of the fires, but we had a day where we had 3 fires in one day, and we had 2 fires in one day a couple times. Typically, we get about a fire a week, and we were definitely ahead of schedule on that. We're probably getting probably average 1.5 to 2 fires per week of structure fires.
Do you find it increases after kids go back to school, or does it increase, or do you have
no? There are different causes for the fires, so the causes tend to come and go. Like now, furnaces are coming back on. We have fires along those lines and fireplaces, things like that. We get you can have an electric fire at any time of the year. With the flooding, we had some results from.
Yes.
We had a basement fire that was. It was an upstairs fire, but they had water in there earlier, and they're trying to determine if that was a result of the flood or not. It was definitely an accidental fire that started in a power strip. Sometimes you could just have a power strip failure, but they're trying to determine if the water that got in was related to it. It was about a week after.
Now, it was probably better that it was warmer weather. I mean, having that kind of flooding in colder weather with the furnaces working and what have you would have been, I think, catastrophic.
Yeah, that certainly is. Well, there's the hot water heaters. When the water comes in, it can put the gas put out the pilot light, and then you have a gas leak, and there's all kinds of issues along those lines. But for the most part, we were really responsive when someone called with a flooding issue, and we would secure the utilities so they weren't having problems along those lines. But we're really busy. Just the month of October in general is fire safety month,
Right.
And so the fire department is really busy. Just with our public education type things, we reach out to all the schools. We try to hit as many senior centers as we can to try to spread the word about fire safety, and of course we have our open house this month as well.
So what is the message in terms of fire safety with the furnaces coming on, and the colder weather and the fireplaces, the electrical fireplaces, the natural fireplaces?
Right.
So what would be?
Well, the fireplace, you always want to be sure that you have it cleaned. Usually every year, depending on how many fires you have, a natural burning wood fireplace, you can get a buildup of in the chimney that if you don't clean out, it can actually catch on fire. We don't have as many of those as we used to.
Professionally cleaned.
Yes, you want to have it professionally cleaned, where they come in and they'll scrape all that stuff off the lining of the flue.
Yeah, Mary Poppins just sort of envisioned in my head.
Yeah, but those, because we've spread the word so much, we don't have as many of those as we used to have. We used to get a couple of chimney fires every year, and really it's dropped considerably. Yeah, which is good, because chimney fires are always tough ones, and they can make a mess, and you crack the flue, and you hate to have someone just having a nice relaxing fire and it turns into quite a disaster. It makes a huge mess in their house. But just having this is the time of year where we really stress the having a safety plan in your house. Check your smoke detectors, and you want to plan a exit from your home. And we're going to all the schools. We talk to the kids, and this time of year they're also having they have their fire drills at school. Mm-hmm. And we tell the kids, when you have that at school, go home and tell your parents and have one at home too. So you're practicing it at home as well as at school. I think it's been like 37 years or something since a child has been killed in a fire at a school, and that's as a result of all these fire drills that we're always doing. Well, at your home, everyone will benefit from doing the same thing. A lot of times people will think, I'll get out my window, but you never go and check your window, make sure you can open it, make sure you can get out it, make sure you have a place to go once you're out of it. There's many steps you could take to make yourself safer, and that's something else that the fire department offers. Is if you call the station, we can come out we do this usually for senior citizens, and we'll take a look at their house and make sure they have a good plan in place.
Really?
Make sure that they have working smoke detectors and enough smoke detectors, and just talk smoke detectors.
Do we provide smoke detectors at all for senior citizens?
We can provide we can provide 1 to 2 smoke detectors depending on there's a little application they fill out. We're working on a grant to get more smoke detectors that are the interconnected type smoke detectors. They cost about $30 each, and those are what we really recommend. They're wirelessly interconnected, so if one goes off, they'll talk to each other and they'll all start to go off. So if you have a fire in your basement and you're sleeping in your bedroom, you may not be aware of it until the smoke comes up to get to a detector that will actually wake you up. If it's going off in the basement, it may not wake you up. These new detectors one will go off and it will tell the next one, which will tell the next one, and pretty soon they're all going off. So the smoke detector in your bedroom will go off even though the fire's all the way in the basement. And
okay, so they're all
Yeah,
they sort of speak to each
yeah,
other.
And it's wireless. It's a wireless deal. You just set a code inside of each one of the detectors, and you put them up, and they work together. And that will give you the earlier warning you have a fire, the better your chances are to get out and be safe. Especially the older you get, you may not hear the fire. You may not hear a detector further away. You might not smell the fire. Sometimes the medications you take can cause you to sleep a little deeper. And then when you do find out about a fire, you may not move as fast as you used to when you were younger. So
true.
The earlier you find out about a fire, the better. Our seniors are really the most at-risk group of being killed in a fire, and that's true across the country, and it certainly applies here in Dearborn Heights. And so we
What is our safety record in terms of that here?
I can tell you that we've had, I think in the last 10 years, we've had 8 fatal fires, and 4 of them were over age 65, and 1 of them was 63, so they're almost there. So over half, half were over 65, and they're all really close. And the youngest fire death we had was 49 years old. Wow. And so if you, I believe
probably at night when somebody was sleeping.
Mm-hmm. Actually, that was, and they've happened at all times of day. And but typically, a fatal fire occurs at night when they're sleeping and they're not ready for it. And that's if you wake up. You can't just. It's hard to describe the way that
urgency,
the smoke and
fear.
Sure. When you wake up from a sleep, and you're in that environment, if you sit up, just the superheated gases can kill you. You need to know to go right to the floor, and then from there you have to have already made out your plan. It's easy to make a plan when you're sitting in the daytime and you're not in a stressful situation. This is my way out. If this way's blocked, then I'm going to go this way. And when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you wake up, you can't breathe, and you're trying to just breathe the air off the top of the carpet just so you can survive, that's not a good time to be trying to make a plan to how you're going to get out of there safely.
So it almost makes sense to, if you do a fire drill, to do it in the dark.
Yeah, we do that, and the kids have more fun doing it that way too. But yeah, a lot of times we do encourage that, and we'll do. I know at my house I'll just set the smoke detectors off and then make sure the kids, they're kind of tired of me by now, but I still do it anyways, and have them roll out, and then you have to have a meeting place outside as well, because if everyone gets out and you don't know, someone might have run next door to the neighbor to call 911, and then if you're not sure where someone's at, you might go back in the fire to look for them, and everyone's out. So you have to have a central meeting place, and then these are the kind of topics that we cover in all of our fire education programs, and we'll talk about this certainly at the open house in.
So October 11th is your
October
open
11th.
house.
Yeah,
Tell us
and
about that.
Well,
now you both attend the open house as well,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
they do. So they're
just making sure.
Yeah, the open house. It's there's so many things that a fireman has to be good at. Now a lot of times they think, the firemen, they go out when a house is on fire, but there's so many different emergencies that we respond to now. I mean, the medical ones are obvious, but even the level of medical training we have is. People use the word paramedic just as kind of a catch-all for anyone who's on an ambulance, but you have medical first responders, basic EMTs, limited advanced life support, and then advanced life support, and that's what all of our members are, advanced life support. And so the amount of work that they could do on a person, it's just like you could do in an emergency room. It's we have all the same drugs that they have. We can put in advanced airways. We replace tubes all the way down, and we could do cardiac pacing, not just defibrillating. We could, if a heart rate's really slow, we could put on an external pacemaker and make the heart beat, and all the different drugs. And so, that itself requires so much training. And then on top of that, we have hazmat teams, we have urban search and rescue teams, and we have members of our department that belong to these special operations groups. And so, just just to get a look at all of the different skills that your firemen have. It's a great time to get out and you get to meet your local firemen. We have a lot of stuff geared towards kids, but there's something for everyone there. We cut up some cars with the jaws of life so you can see extrication, all the things we do.
So
with that.
you physically get to watch that.
Yeah, we'll have 2 different displays where we'll have someone who's kind of narrating what's going on, and we'll have a team of firemen that will have some cars that we kind of try. The DPW will smash them up a little bit with some of their equipment. And
Kids will enjoy that, I'm sure.
And then we show how we can, the different ways that there's different techniques of cutting into cars to try to get people out safely, and the different tools we have that and the training that there's people that are just extrication specialists, and so they even have competitions, extrication competitions where teams will go in and be presented with these really difficult scenarios, and they have to stabilize a vehicle and cut it open and get the patients out, and so. So it's an interesting thing to see.
What do you have for kids? You said just the whole experience?
Yeah, we also have a fire safety house. It's like an inflatable house that will fill with smoke.
Just sitting in the fire truck would be fun.
Yeah, of course we have that, and we have opportunity where they put on gear and they get to see what all the gear feels like, and we encourage the mom and dads to try to put it on with them, and so they can kind of just to get a feel for what it's like to have all that stuff on. But we have a house where you will crawl underneath the smoke, and they can practice escaping, and we fill it with a fake smoke that's breathable. But that's one that the kids really like as well, and they like seeing the cars cut up and just seeing the station where all the firemen live too.
Absolutely. So how do you coordinate together with the fire department, the police department? And even, I mean, this is all so well rounded and so well correlated. But what are the communication processes that you have when we have an issue?
Me and Chief Dave over there, we talk on a daily basis. Regards to activities and things that are going on in the firehouse, fire station, and over at the police station. So if he needs us, we're there for him, and vice versa. On the medical emergencies, that's when we come in contact with the police department, with the fire department, and we work in conjunction with them. They're the trained medical people, and we're there to assist.
Is there anything like the mapping in terms of fires, or I think they're so limited in our city too?
We don't have any of that. But I know that we have used Mark's email system before. We've had some people come in that were running scams on fire extinguishers, moving into the different businesses, and it's just a great tool.
It's a good alert tool.
We work together. He sent out the alert to all the different. It's a good means of sending out a warning to a large number of people pretty easily. So,
well, I know our city is very well equipped to keep us all safe, especially with all the information traffic that's going on, and this new mapping, crimemapping.com, basically crimemapping.com. You can get on your computer and take a look and assess your neighborhoods. Police Chief Lee Gavin, Fire Chief Dave Brogan, and Corporal Mark Parrinello. These are the guys that are keeping us safe, that are making Dearborn Heights a fabulous, wonderful place to live. Stay safe out there, and we will see you soon.